All right, how's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for being here. This is Goose Auto Works, and this is what we're doing today. All right, welcome everyone. And I say this is what we're doing today, but I really don't know. This is my first crack at doing a repair like this, no pun intended. But this is a bumper that was from a GT500 that was in a front end collision. And it's got some pretty significant damage in a few different places that we'll look at here in just a minute. But I was able to get this whole thing for a really good price. So even if the bumper can't be saved, all the peripherals that came with it, it was a good enough deal even just for those. So I'm not too bummed either way, but obviously if we can salvage the whole thing, then even better. So let's take a look at it and see what we're up against. All right, everyone. So I'm gonna get started on this side for you guys first because it fared a little bit better than the other. But really all we're working with over here is gonna be some cracks in the paint. And I'll obviously sand this completely smooth before repainting. But what that will let me do too is also, see the plastic underneath, just verify it is indeed okay, but I'm pretty sure it is. So we got these two areas here, small area there, small area there, but no cracks or rips or tears or anything like that in the plastic on this side, so that's good. Coming through the middle, it's even better. There's really no major damage to speak of. The only thing you really have is going to be this scuff around this edge here, but all this has to be repainted anyway, so that's pretty good. That doesn't bother me at all. What does bother me is going to be this area over here, and so I'll start at the bottom. Around this fog light housing, it's obviously got a decent sized crack running through it, and although it might be difficult to get into that corner from the backside, this doesn't really bother me too much. I don't think that this will give me too much of a fight. Hopefully I don't regret those words, but it seems like it wants to kind of fit back together pretty decently, so I don't see that one being too big of an issue. Same right here. It seems like it will want to fit together pretty nicely. It's on a nice flat area, so reinforcing this, bonding it back together, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. What will be an issue is going to be this area all through here. So first reason, you have your turn signal marker right here and your headlight in through here, both of which are going to have nice straight edges. So if anything is inconsistent through that area, it's going to be pretty obvious, and it's going to be pretty evident that you've got something going on. The other reason that I'm not looking forward to this is going to really be this area here, and it doesn't really look that bad, but whenever I explain what's going on, maybe you'll understand. So this is actually like a crease. So naturally this plastic wants to sit like this, or naturally it should sit like this, but it wants to sag and dip and kind of fold over this area. And same thing's going on here. This is a pretty wide crack, and it doesn't really want to come back together. It wants to stay separate like this. So first thing I'm gonna do is break all of this down. So taking out the upper and lower grille, both of the fog lights and the splitter there. One, I'm gonna need those things out of the way to work on it properly anyway, but then two, that will let the bumper kind of relax and fall into whatever position it's wanting to be in without having any kind of external forces trying to push or pull or twist it into any position. It may very well be that having these things on here is actually kind of keeping it more in the position it needs to be. It may just completely relax and be just a mess. But at any rate, we need it in that position so that we can start massaging it and kind of getting it where it needs to be. So my plan of attack for the areas over here, pretty straightforward. Sand it smooth, repaint it, should be good to go. Areas down here, like I mentioned, is going to be to get in behind there and reinforce it with either hot staples or wire mesh or a combination of the two. I may even need to implement some zip ties to kind of bring some of these areas together and then grind those off later. We'll just kind of see what is working and what might be needed in each area. The area up here where it is kind of out of flatness and it's droopy and just kind of being pulled in different directions, I think I will first try to heat this whole area up with a heat gun kind of soften up the material a little bit, and then kind of try to close some of these cracks, kind of bring it back together. I may even heat this area up pretty well and put like a 2x4 on either side of it and clamp it and let it kind of set that way. Basically remold it in a sense, you know, get it soft and pliable, move it into the position you want it to be in, and let it cool down and stiffen up where you want it to go. Alright, so after getting everything stripped off, I'm actually a little bit more optimistic. So there is some new damage that I found, and I'll kind of go over that real quick, but the damage I already knew that was there seems like it might be a little bit more manageable now. So starting with some of the new stuff, so I pointed this out to you a moment ago, but it looks like it does kind of continue on to this area underneath the lower grill. It doesn't really change things too much. It still should be pretty easy to get to. It's just a little bit more that I have to go. But also the lower grill will cover this area. It will help kind of hold all this together too. So that's not too worrisome. There's also this area right here that I noticed where, if you can kind of see, there's a little bit of like a dip or a dent with this little crease right in the middle, and that's not present on this side. So over here it's just one smooth sweep. The bottom side is nice, straight and flat. And so over here we have this dipped in area, and then we're flat, 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 and then we kind of dip in and then jut out kind of out of nowhere. So this I'll warm up, kind of flatten this out, push this from behind. This may need a little bit of extra sanding or body filler just to get some creases or waves out, but that shouldn't be too difficult to manage. And then the areas that I was more concerned with seem like they're going to cooperate a little bit more. So just like I said, with trying to get some of that other stuff out of the way, these areas over here are now a little bit more pliable. I can kind of shape them and move them a little bit more to the areas they need to be in. I'll still need to heat this up, I'm pretty sure, but it's not giving me as much of a fight now that it doesn't have those rigid materials kind of holding it in place and, you know, resisting any kind of movement or flexion. So all in all, pretty good. Looking a little bit better, but we just have to keep going at it. Okay, checking back in with you guys. So did a little work with the heat gun, as you saw. First thing I did was take off the vinyl stripes here. There's still some adhesive residue on there, but let's be honest, that's the least of my concerns at the moment. And then started just kind of massaging and working through some of these warped areas. So everything's still going to need a little bit of work, but doing this allowed me to bring some of these cracks and things a little bit closer. It's not fighting itself so much. So starting up here, this is still a little out of whack, but it's a lot more flat than it used to be. And I put some heat in this area too to try to kind of be able to bring this a little bit closer, and it's cooperating a little bit more. This obviously still needs some work through here, but it is a lot more flat and level. And then also in through here, I still need to get, I just realized that there's a little crease right here, so I need to work on that, and still need to work on getting these parallel to each other, but those are a lot better. There's another look at this top section. And then this area down here, it's a lot less of like a dent or a dimple and more of just a crease now, and the bottom side is a lot more flat. So again, it'll kind of be a dance going back and forth between massaging it, bringing some of the cracks closer, but everything's going pretty well. It's a little slow work, but that's okay. That just allows you to be able to be a little bit more controlled in what you're doing, and be able to really kind of understand which way everything's wanting to move.
To start getting these cracks closed up a little bit, I'm just going to pull them together as best I can and then tape over the front of it with aluminum tape. And what that's going to do is hold it together long enough for me to implement a more sturdy, more permanent solution on the backside. And I'm just kind of starting on the easier cracks and then moving out to the ones that are a little bit more stubborn. And then flipping it over to the backside, putting in those hot staples. Like I said, that's going to hold it together a little bit while longer so I can do the repairs I need to do. Checking back in with you all, and things are going pretty good. So as you can see, I've just kind of added these hot staples all along any of these cracked lines here. These are removable as well, and I might leave some, but I do plan on taking them out, basically just heat them back up and pull them out. But this will keep everything together more to start doing the repair from the front side. And some things pull together pretty nicely, especially like this one up here. Others have like a little bit of a gap in space, but that's really all it wanted to come back together. For all I know, there's actual missing material there from the impact. I don't know. Hopefully those things don't cause much of an issue, but I guess we'll just work through it if it does. So now I'll flip it over, start trying to make some grooves on the front side of these cracks so that I can put in some filler plastic material, and then we'll flip it back over again, and I'm going to reinforce all this back area with some wire mesh, and at that point is when I'll take out these hot staples. All right, I've got my helper here now. Say hello, helper.
Hello, helper.
After a quick lunch break and pondering the task ahead of me, I go ahead and anywhere that there is a crack that ends on the bumper, I'm just going to go ahead and drill out the end of that crack so that it doesn't propagate any further. After doing that, I'll just go ahead and take a teardrop bit on the end of my Dremel and create a groove or a valley over all of these crack lines. After doing that, I can clean it up a bit, get rid of some of the burrs that were made from melted plastic, as well as scuff up some of the surrounding plastic so that the new filler material has something to stick to. And with the filler material, you're just going to lay it into those grooves that you created. And when you're doing this, it's important to understand that you need to melt the filler material as well as the bumper surface itself so that they bond together. You're not just filling this, you're trying to adhere things together. So I don't have a hot air plastic welder. I have this little spatula knife type that uses these like adhesive plastic rods. So I kind of made my own using my heat gun. I got some like little reducer nozzles down to a really fine tip, and I got some polypropylene plastic, which is the same material as the bumper. And I just did it as a test, but it went really well, honestly, so I just kind of kept going with it. I'll use the knife type to kind of flatten some of these out, and then kind of see what it looks like and go from there. But yeah, it went in there pretty well. Everything on this project is actually going a lot more according to plan than I thought it would, which is great. It's just, you know, at some point you're like, well, shoot, when's the catastrophe strike? So hopefully we're spared, but I'm just gonna leave it like this for today. Come back on another day and level some of this out, and then start kind of doing some of the repairs from the backside, and start giving everything a final sand, and start looking into doing body filler and primer and see kind of what shapes we're left with. Bye for now. Alright, so as you just saw, I went and snipped off some of the longer stems that were hanging off these staples, and then took a flap disc to the little nubs that were left. That's going to just bring it nice and flat, as well as kind of scuff up some of the surrounding area, because what I'm about to do next is cut some strips of this reinforcement mesh here. I'm actually going to kind of melt this into the surface of the plastic, and what that's going to do is just provide reinforcement on either side of the crack, the whole length of the crack, and then I'll come back over it with some like adhesive plastic after that. But what that's going to do is kind of like what these staples are doing, but just in a much larger area and for the whole length of it. It's basically like using rebar and concrete. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and start working on.
Hey everyone, so I'm actually going to go ahead and cut this video here. I'm going to split this whole thing up into a few different parts. It's running kind of long and I want to be sure to cover everything without having just one video that drags out. So in the next video we will be tackling the more cosmetic aspects of this whole repair. So sanding down the repaired areas, prepping it for paint, actually doing the paint. So if you want to see that, please be sure to subscribe and it will be on the channel very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.